Hello NHS, Mr. Ward here, and I would like to welcome our graduating class of 2020 to the Ontario University presentation. Typically, in the past, this presentation will be offered to you in an assembly style at the school itself. Unfortunately, due to public health guidelines this year, we're providing a voiceover. Today we'll cover a few important reminders, a quick overview on choosing a program, and the OUAC 101 application process itself. We hope to address any questions you might have or that may arise as you work through the application process itself in the coming weeks. That being said, the first thing I want to talk about here is a few important messages or a few important reminders. The first one here is check your email regularly. Some of you may have already applied and begun the process, and others are still in the research phase. But it is critically important that you check that email often, whether that is your GAPS account or a personal email. Much of the information that you will receive, whether that is from OUAC, Newmarket High School, us in guidance, the school board, or others, will mainly be communicated to you by email. You should be checking it daily to ensure you are caught up to date on news and any information that you need to submit or complete, or if there is information you need to know. So please, I can't stress enough, check that email often and regularly. The next one here is scholarship opportunities. This is also the time where you need to begin to think about how you will fund your post-secondary education. Part of those emails that I just mentioned that are sent to you from us here at Newmarket High School, there's a scholarship report. The scholarship report is a bi-monthly digital information resource for high school students. It features current, national, and provincial listings, as well as helpful tips in the search for all forms of post-secondary funding. Information on university college open houses, application deadlines and fees, the Ontario Student Assistance Program, or OSAP, and other material pertinent to the graduating high school student is provided. The scholarship report also includes listing of other types of awards, as well as programs and activities that will enhance your skills, as well as your scholarship applications itself. Another great resource for scholarships is a site called scholarshipscanada.com. It's a fantastic resource. The great thing about scholarshipscanada.com is you can create an account and then actually filter out the search options in order to match yourself with a scholarship directly. So it's very personal. If you're struggling to kind of look through that, or if you're looking for more scholarship opportunities or help in completing scholarship applications, please book an appointment with your guidance counselor and we can sit down with you and help you. The next one here is supplementary information. If you have already applied, you may have already begun to complete some of the supplementary information that universities require you to complete. We often get questions about supplementary information. I know that there is a slide later on in the presentation where I will cover a bit more information on this, but we do get frequently asked questions about where do I submit my supplementary information? Do I submit it through my OUAC account? And the answer is no. The OUAC account is simply for submitting your choices, your programs of choice. The universities themselves will contact you directly via the email that you use to create your OUAC account. So like I said, it comes back to checking that email regularly to make sure you are up to date. If they do require supplementary information, they will ask you to create an account with that university to complete that step, whether that is an account in the university portal or their student website. They'll ask you to create an account with them. And that is where you will submit all that information, whether that's a reference letter, maybe it's a resume, maybe it's an essay question. That's where you'll submit that information. So it's very important that you ensure you are organized, that you read everything that is being asked of you very carefully, and that you are meeting any deadlines that universities are requiring. The next one here is virtual open house. This year is very different to the past, and unfortunately, due to COVID-19 and the adherence of public health guidelines, many opportunities to tour the campuses of universities that you are interested in are just not there this year, unfortunately. However, all universities across Ontario and frankly the world have pivoted to a lot of these virtual preview days or virtual open house days. Some have also included virtual webinars or live Q&A chats where you can actually go onto their website and just speak with a representative. We encourage you to register for these days and continue to gain an understanding from the universities you applied to. I know it might be secondhand information in some cases because we can't actually visit the university itself, but it is still important to allow you to make the best decision possible, especially when it comes time to accept an offer. You can find a list of virtual open house dates on our Newmarket High School website under the Guidance tab, then by selecting Post-Secondary and then University on the left-hand side. We have a lot of information there, whether that's our previous presentations, our virtual open house dates. There's a list of a PDF of those dates on there where you can access and take a look at. The other thing you can do as well is visit the university itself or the university website itself. Many of these universities are including those virtual open house dates on their main web page. So if you have a few universities in mind, visit those main web pages or our Newmarket High School guidance website to find those dates. The last one here on this important reminder slide is a big one. It says 20 community involvement hours. For this year only, the ministry has reduced the number of community involvement hours for grade 12s from 40 to 20. They have recognized that graduating students have had barriers this school year and in the past as well. So they've recognized there's barriers to earning those community involvement hours last school year and then maybe those continuing into this year. Another important thing is that they're also having some changes to what activities are eligible. So students can now earn hours during the time allotted for the instructional program on a school day. So in the past, you would not have been able to receive hours if you were at school or if they're being completed during the time at school where you should be at school. That has changed. So if you have things to do over lunch or if you have an opportunity you can do over lunch, then you can get those hours. Or for duties normally performed in the home. So for example, walking a younger child to and from school, or maybe you possibly have younger siblings, you can help them with schoolwork. These are now activities that are eligible for you to earn hours. Another big one is students can also earn up to 10 hours from paid employment. So if you have a job and you are employed, you can actually go to your employer and say, I would like to take 10 hours and use them to count for my community involvement hours. The only other part of this is you have to complete a reflection exercise with that. So if you do decide to do that, you have to complete a reflection exercise, but talking a bit about what you have learned while at work. Now, this reflection exercise can be differentiated for many of your needs. So if you want to write it as as a reflection in your pathway planner, if you want to submit it as audio or video reflection, you can actually write a Google Doc or a paragraph and submit that. Or if you want to sit down with your guidance counselor and just share your reflections orally with them, then you can also do that. We do say that you should continue to seek out and accumulate community involvement hours in accordance with school board policies and procedures, keeping in mind local public health unit recommendations. So if you do feel comfortable and you are able to follow public health guidelines, we still do encourage you to complete those opportunities where you can. Whether that is a virtual opportunity. I know we have been posting many things in our guidance department on the community involvement board. A lot of them have this year been virtual opportunities, but there are still opportunities out there, whether that's with a town, right? Maybe it's a local food bank. There are still opportunities for you. You can also access Neighborhood Network. Neighborhood Network is a York Regional organization that accumulates volunteer opportunities and places them in one spot. You can access those volunteer opportunities on their website. And also, the great thing also about Neighborhood Network is that You can filter out to high school hours as well as certain locations and different opportunities. So again, you can personalize it a little bit to what you need. So those are just a few important reminders in your graduating year to make sure you're keeping on top of things. The next piece here is we're going to talk about is before you apply. So before you apply, there are a few items we need to consider. Now, we have covered a few of these topics in our initial university information presentation and the Google Meet frequently asked question sessions we did with you back in October. So if you have not listened to that presentation or viewed that presentation, I do encourage you to go back to go to our Newmarket High School website, again under the guidance tab and under university, to take a look at that presentation. There is my presentation, there's a link to YouTube. It's a voiceover just like this one. There's also a presentation from Miss Perrin. If you don't want to listen to me for 50 minutes talking, you can skip ahead or go to a certain point, or you can always look at we just have a PDF presentation as well on there, so if you just want to read the presentation. So again, much of what I'm going to cover over this slide is a lot of that is in that presentation. So if you feel comfortable, go back to that presentation, take a look at it. It might answer a few more questions for you. The first thing you want to consider is where you are applying. Have you taken into account all the factors that we spoke about in that university information presentation? Do they offer what I want to study? Are there co-op experiences or internship opportunities within the program itself? Can I make money while being there? Have you considered the location or size of the post-secondary university you are applying to? Would you like a larger campus? Would you like a smaller campus? Maybe you would like to be in a big city and move away, or go to a small city, or like a tight-knit community. Have you visited the campus? Again, I know that's something this year that is, in some cases, not possible. Or have you registered for a virtual open house? Where will you live? Are you going to stay at home and commute, or can you afford to stay on campus and in residence? Am I going to have to stay at home and start my post-secondary experience online? This is another question many of you might have to ask yourself this year. Am I going to have to start that online next year? These are all questions that we did cover in that presentation, the university information presentation, but they still are important questions you need to ask yourself and research before you start to apply. The next one here is program information. Have I taken a look at what prerequisites are required for my program, and do I have them? So as a reminder, you do need 6 U or M courses to be eligible for degree programming. If you do not have 6 U or M courses on your timetable and currently are wishing to apply to university, please make an appointment with your guidance counselor. We will try our best to ensure that you have those 6. So if you don't, again, make an appointment with your guidance counselor. We will try our best to find a way. What were the cutoff marks last year? Take a look at your own average currently and compare it to what the admission averages were last year. Each year can be different depending on the pool of the applicants, but also you need to be realistic about the average cutoffs for some of these programs. We always recommend that you create multiple plans within your application. Plan A may be a goal of yours where you don't quite have the marks just yet, but you are working towards them. Plan B is possibly more attainable. And then Plan C are programs that you know for sure you have the marks to get in, or have the marks to ensure you are accepted to at least one university program. So take a look at those cutoff marks for the program of your choice. How are averages calculated? Some universities will calculate averages differently. Some may require your prerequisite courses to be a part of that average. Others may say that they only want to see that you have taken the courses on your transcript, and then take your average from your top 6 URM course regardless of the courses. We recommend calling or emailing or contacting the universities you're interested in to gain a better understanding on how they calculate those averages you are applying to, or for the program that you are applying to. Next one here, repeated courses. Some schools will treat repeated courses differently. Many will say the highest mark achieved will be used to calculate averages, while others will say that each case is given individual consideration. So, if you are currently in a course that you are repeating, please ensure that you have an understanding on how the universities you are applying to treat those repeated courses. The same can be said for summer school or e-learning courses. Typically, if it is a ministry-approved course, they will accept it and treat it no differently. Others will say, again, they are given individual consideration on a case-by-case basis. So if you have taken a few summer school courses, or if you're taking a night school e-learning course or a day school e-learning course, just take a look at the requirements on those courses for some of these schools. You can always access that information with us in guidance. We have that information. So if you're wondering about a certain university, you can make an appointment or email a counselor or give a counselor a call, and we can answer that question for you. Now, if you are in secondary virtual school, we have had a few quick questions about that, and in particular, the e-learning portion of it, because it is considered virtual school. If you are a secondary virtual school student, you are still considered a day school student within the school board. So there's no need to worry about how universities will treat your courses. They'll be treated just as if you were in a face-to-face or adaptive model. Last one on this slide, possibility of alternate offers. If, for the unfortunate reason, you are not accepted into the program of your choice, some universities will tend to offer admission into other programs at their university. There are others that will not provide alternate offers or will wait until the final round of admission in May to make those offers. So again, it all comes back to making sure you are researching. And if you're looking to find those questions or need help researching some of these, again, book an appointment. I know I've said it many times. Book an appointment with your guidance counselor. We can sit down with you and walk you through some of these and help you and answer some questions that you may have. Now, this slide here and the next couple slides, we did cover in our University of Ontario presentation. But again, it is good important information if you are still in the research phase. So if you're looking for choosing a program or looking at programs, a great website is ontariouniversitiesinfo.ca. On the right-hand side here, this is the home page for the site. And if I'm looking for a program, I can click here on programs. Or if I'm looking at a specific university itself, I can click on universities. So if I click on those, if I click on programs, I can search for programs. In this example here, I've searched economics, and it's given me 140 programs here. For the purpose of this presentation, I've clicked on accounting here, the top one, University of Ottawa. And when I click on that program, it will provide me more specific information. So here, if I look at it, accounting, it shows me a program summary, University of Ottawa, Bachelor of Commerce, the OUAC program code. Now this is really important. When you start to apply, you'll need this, well, you don't necessarily maybe possibly need it because you can search for programs on the OUAC website. But if you already know this is the program that you want, a specific program, I would write this OUAC program code down. So in this case here, it's OTC. I would write this program code down and I would keep it in mind because when I go to actually apply, I can actually just type that in and it will populate for me. So if it is a program that you want, write that program code down. If I click on requirements, it'll show me on the right-hand side here this page. My prerequisites, so in this case here, English, functions, and calculus, all U. And then I'll probably need also, not probably, you will need three other U or M level courses to make up your 6 U or M courses. You can take a look at admission averages, and you can also visit the program site directly. Some cases it is necessary to visit the program website because again, this website is connected to many of the universities, but the universities themselves will always have the most up-to-date information. Now, once you have chosen that program, you'll move into, or you're chosen your 3 or 4 or 5 programs that you're looking to apply to. You'll go now start to do the application process itself. So at the end of October, you were provided an email in your GAPS account that included your school MIDENT number, student number, and importantly, that PIN number. If you have not received that email, please see us in guidance. I can go in and take a look at for you. We can get that PIN for you, but it is confidential. And it is confidential because if there is used by someone else, they can use that information to say they are you, right? So please keep that PIN number confidential. And again, if you haven't found it or if you don't know where it is, it should be in your GAPS email account. But if you have lost that or accidentally deleted it for whatever reason, please see us down in guidance and we can provide that PIN number to you. You prepare everything online through this OUAC account. So OUAC, Ontario University's Application Center, and it is the 101 application itself. You prepare that online application and pay online as well. So it's $150 for 3 program choices. An additional choice fee is $50 for each program after that. So you have $150 for 3 programs initially, and if you want to add as you go, it's $50 each time you add. You can apply to as many programs as you want. There's only 3 per university, but again, each time you add one, it's $50. So keep that. It can become very expensive. There are also in some cases supplemental program fees. So in the case of, let's say, an engineering program, they may add on, and this is the case of I've used here at University of Waterloo Engineering. They may add on $53 just as a supplemental fee to applying to that faculty itself. So this is the OUAC website. When you visit the OUAC website, www.ouac.on.ca, this is what you'll see. Again, you are an undergrad 101 application. You are a current high school student. You will be applying using this 101 application. So if I click on the 101 application, it'll bring me to this page here on the OUAC website. If I scroll down, it'll say 101 application, and I've circled it here as well. Go to application. The other important note here on this web page here is there's quite a few application instructions here. Selecting an application, personal information. When you're going through the process on the OUAC account, it's very, I say modular, but it's very complete this step, on to the next step. But there are many instructions on the OUAC website itself to help you walk you through that. Whether that's a PDF, whether that is an audio program. They also have tutorials, so tutorial videos. To actually, they've created them to walk you through the application process. And you can find those tutorials at OUAC 101 tutorial. Even if you type into Google OUAC.on or OUAC 101 tutorials, this site will come up. So 101 how-to videos. You have how to create your account, how to browse and add your programs, add your application itself, how to complete your application, and edit your completed application as well. These are also available on YouTube. So if you're searching YouTube and you type in the OUAC, that is the account on YouTube. They also have these tutorial videos there. So as you're going through and browsing programs and adding things to your application, if you're struggling, A, you can always make an appointment with us to walk you through it with you. Or B, you can always visit the OUAC website for their video tutorials, their transcripts that are written in PDF form, or also visit YouTube and take a look at their videos on YouTube. So when I click on that Go to Application, this web page will come up. And unfortunately, at this point, you can create the account. While you create your account, username and password, you'll have to go through a little bit of information here, creating my account. But unfortunately, OUAC does not provide us with a practice account to go in to show a little bit more beyond this. So that's why it's very critical that you do take a look at those tutorial videos and seek out help when you need it. Again, like I mentioned, it is very step-by-step, personal information, academic information, program choices, review and submit. It's very modular and it's very step-by-step. Email is the primary mode of communication between the universities and yourself and OUAC. So Again, it comes back to making sure you are checking that email regularly. You need to make sure that email that you use for OUAC, again, is a personal email account. Do not use your GAPS account. Your GAPS account, once you graduate in grade 12, will be basically locked and you won't have access to it. So I know we've had students in the past use their GAPS account to create that OUAC account and put all their supplementary information in there, supplemental information, portfolio, reference letters, essay questions, and have it organized and neat. And then they don't have access to it afterwards, after high school. So make sure you're using a personal account, and then it is also professional. Your application will not be processed until you pay for it. Make sure you go ahead and pay. You pay for your application itself before. Right? They won't accept it, so you have to pay. Make payment for it. If you pay by credit card, you should receive a receipt of that payment electronically and typically immediately. Once you've gotten your payment or received that, or you made your payment, you will receive what's called an OUAC reference number. Ensure that you print this reference number. It'll look something like this. This is a 2020, it'll probably say 2021 this year, and then a few digits. If you are communicating back and forth with universities, that OUAC reference number must be used at all times. So if you are emailing back and forth, always just include that OUAC reference number because they will use it to refer back to your application and make sure that it is you. I've already mentioned it before, but record that PIN and keep it in a safe place. You'll need it to change anything in your application if you want. You can make submission changes after you've actually gone in and applied. So that's why we do say the earlier, when you're comfortable, but the earlier the better, because you can, if you do make a mistake or as you're going through the process and still researching and you decide to make a change, you can always go back and go in. The January 15th deadline that we'll talk about in the important dates portion is a hard deadline. So make sure you once you're comfortable and apply, the earlier the better. We do say sometimes over the winter break to sit down with your family and make a proper decision on where you want to apply is the best. But if you feel comfortable to apply, then go ahead and apply. You can review and change your completed application, but that reference number and PIN will be needed to do so. Another critical piece here, if you're applying to out of province, some universities will use that OUAC reference number for transcript purposes. So a couple examples there: McGill, Dalhousie, UBC. You may have to provide an initial transcript for your grade 9, 10, and 11, or grade 9, 10, and 11 marks. But typically, they will, if they're requiring that OUAC reference number, they will use all the information we have already sent to OUAC in March, or they will access it in the second semester portion. So you will need that reference number. So please print that, keep that in a safe place. Supplemental applications. So I know we mentioned it already, but create a professional email and check that email regularly. You're always going to be getting updates. Everything is going to be through that email that you create with OUAC itself. So whatever email you use to create with them, make sure you're checking it regularly. You can check your GAPS account like I mentioned already, but make sure you're checking your email regularly. Organize your email and check your junk folder. So organize your email. I think you have to think about it this way now, especially as we go through online learning and the adaptive model, whether you're in virtual school. You have to think of, let's say, maybe your email or your Google Drive that you have for your GAPS account now as your binder. In the past in school, you have your binder in front of you or a physical binder. You have to think of these things as your binder now. So make sure you are organizing this. Organize your email, check your junk folder, create folders where you can place information, create folders where you can provide or keep things safe and you know where they are so you can access them quickly. It's very important. It might even just ease some stress and anxiety as you're going through the process. Read everything carefully. Is it optional? You should probably include it. So there's with supplemental applications, there are many things you may have to do. This is in some cases why we say when you are applying through OUAC and you're choosing a number of programs, that you typically, the maximum that you apply to is about 6. Because once you go past that threshold of 6, remember, there may be supplemental information. So that includes meeting deadlines, picking up reference letters, writing paragraphs on essays, writing on your character. There's quite a bit of information that they need if you are having to complete a supplemental application with that. So in some cases that can be very overwhelming. It can be very, especially if you're looking at completing your grade 12 schoolwork and meeting obviously mark cutoffs and admission deadlines, right, admission averages. It's very important that you are focusing on school as well. So if you have too many, sometimes it's very hard to keep track. So read everything carefully, but if it is optional, include it. It just shows that you're taking the initiative as you're going through the supplemental application process. Provide references enough time to support you. If you need to, or if you require references, I would start asking them now, even if you don't need them. In this case here, you have them already in case you have to provide them. In some cases, some students, or if you come to some people late, it's very hard for some people to, let's say, provide you a proper reference as you're going through. So provide those people, those support people in your life, enough time to actually support you. And be able to give them that time to make a proper reference. It's very critical that you give them that time. And I think this one is self-explanatory, but make sure you are meeting deadlines. It does speak to your character and speaks to who you are if you are not meeting deadlines. So make sure you are meeting those deadlines, because in some cases, it may disclude you from not include you in some of the processes. So make sure you are meeting those deadlines. Offers of admission. So once you have applied to OUAC itself, there's a few admission decisions are only made by the university. OUAC does not make any admission decisions at all. There are essentially rounds that take place. Now this year is a little bit different. On November 20th, there'll be a submission of first semester midterm marks. That has never happened in the past. In the past, it was always your final first semester grades that went. So it'll be interesting this year to see a little bit about what's happening around the rounds of processes and how offers are sent out. And there's also the added factor in of school models and different school board choices on what they've done. I know some school boards are in quadmester, so some of those quadmester school boards, students in those school boards will not have started their courses until that final quadmester. So up until May or April, a lot of universities this year will be using grade 11 and 12 marks for those quadmester students. So you may not see in some cases a lot of offers. You may see a lot of these offers come a little bit later, or because of that very reason, because they want to get a good chunk of your grade 12 marks in there. They'll communicate offers of admission directly to the applicant. So through OUAC, you'll be able to, there'll be either whether it's as a letter going home to you, maybe a letter to your student account that you've made, but in OUAC itself is where you'll actually see that offer of admission as well. You'll be provided instructions on how to respond to that offer of admission by the university. Maybe it's a possible date that they need that by. We'll talk about important dates later. But there's a few things that they'll give you information on how to respond to that offer itself. You'll be able to accept these offers or decline offers of admission using the review and change your completed application feature. And these offers must be accepted through OUAC. You cannot, if you receive an offer of admission, there's nowhere where you'll be able to accept through a student account or a separate account or a university portal. All of this information will have to be accepted, or you have to accept an offer through OUAC itself, through the review and change your completed application. So again, there'll be a feature on your OUAC account where you'll be able to access and actually go in there and accept an offer. You have to accept it through OUAC itself. So lastly here, just some important dates as we go through the application process. OUAC receives first semester midterm grades. Again, I just mentioned this, but this is a new one on November 20th. They will receive those first semester midterm grades. This one has changed. December 16th, full disclosure of semester 1 grades. So if you're looking, let's say if you're still in a course at the moment and you would like to drop a course or withdraw from a course, December 16th is the final date that you can drop from that course or withdraw, and it won't show on your transcript. So prior to this, nothing will show up in your transcript. After this date, if you withdraw from a course, a W for withdraw and the mark at the time that you were in the course will go on your transcript. Now, regardless, so if you haven't withdrawn from a course prior to November 20th, OUAC will still see the mark that you had up until November 20th. That's not going to come off. So OUAC receives transmissions at certain dates in the time of year, so it doesn't actively update. So if you were to withdraw before the December 16th deadline, but after this date, that mark will still be still seen by OUAC until February 11th. But the nice thing is on February 11th, it'll be no record of it, so it'll just be wiped. So once the February 11th transmission takes place, that mark there, and then you've withdrawn, that mark will be gone. So again, December 16th is the full disclosure for semester 1 grades. Now we get into 2021. January 15th is the deadline to complete your Ontario University application. Now you may still modify it after submission, but this is why we do say make sure you do apply ahead of time. January can be a very busy year, or a busy time of year. Now this year may be a little different because we do not have exams. But typically, again, it's a very stressful time of year. You're coming to the end of a course. January 15th is kind of lands in that middle of that. So, like I said earlier, maybe probably the best time to sit down with your family. I mean, when you're comfortable, you still apply, but the best time might be during the winter break to sit down with your family and actually hit the submit button and pay, because that way you have time to, let's say, between that winter break to January 15th, if you have to change anything, look at things, you can still modify it. So again, January 15th, 2021 is the deadline to complete your application. February 11th, OUAC receives all final first semester grades. So there's another transmission. So they'll receive all the final first semester grades. And then April 22nd, they'll receive second semester midterm grades. And like I said earlier, during the offers of admission, this might be this will probably be the time of year where those final rounds of offers are coming in. A lot of those competitive programs, you'll start to see offers. I know I've had students come in the past to see me and say, I haven't received any offers just yet, but I know one of my peers has received offers. Do you know any reasons why? And the reasons why may be just because you might not be it might be the program itself. So perhaps there's a lot of those competitive programs will wait until those second semester midterm grades really do come in to make sure they have a full set of grade 12 marks. And this year especially, like I also mentioned earlier, with the different school board models across Ontario, they're going to probably be waiting for a bigger set of grade 12 marks. In some cases of those other school boards, they may not even receive all 6 grade 12 marks. In our case here in the WIRE DSB, we will, because we have a different model. But that being the case, being said, universities might wait until this mid-April date to decide and do another final round during May on offers of rounds in May. So keep that in mind. April 22nd is the second semester midterm grade submission. April 30th is the full disclosure of semester 2 grades. Now you'll notice this date is a little bit closer to the midterm submission than in first semester. Now, first semester's was closer. I believe this date initially was November 26th, but that was pushed to December 16th this year. We haven't received any official communication on if this date has changed or has been pushed back yet. So keep an eye on that date, I would say, for the future. This may also very well be pushed to 75% of the course, because that was that date for first semester. So this date may be pushed into May. So just keep that in mind. May 27th is the last day you can expect a response from Ontario University. So May 27th, you might, and in terms of responses, you might get an acceptance, you might get an alternate offer, or possibly a deferral, or it'll just be a sorry, you haven't been accepted. So no. But that May 27th is the last day you can expect a response. June 1st is the earliest date a student may be required to respond to an offer. So let's say you receive an offer in March or April, but it's not quite the university you wanted just yet. You're still waiting, and let's say you receive something on May 26th or May 27th from the program that you wanted. June 1st might be that date where everyone starts asking you to actually now start to respond. So that is the date where universities can actually go to you and say, listen, we need you to respond to this now, because again, they're adjusting their data themselves, right? They may need to add more, or they may be a little bit low in their enrollment, so they want to make sure they can fill their enrollment. So this is the date that they will go out and ask you to respond at the very least. You can always respond earlier. Let's say you get an offer in February or March or April, and that is the university of your choice. You can go on to OUAC, you can go to that review, your application portion, and actually accept that offer, and then you're done. But June 1st is that date where they can actually go to you now. July 6th, OUAC receives all final second semester grades. So after June and after your courses, your second semester courses are complete, the school will send a transmission to OUAC with all those final second semester grades. So those are some important dates for you. Again, the big one is January 15th here, where you have to complete that application itself. That's probably one of the biggest ones that you have to keep in mind as you're going through this process. It's January 15th. If you forget some of these dates or you need more information on some of these, you can always come down to guidance and ask us a little more information. And that's it. And I just want to say good luck to all of you. I know it's a very stressful year, a very different time. I know we're all going through this together, and I think you'll, in the long run, be better. So in some cases, be better for it. So I think good luck. I think you're all doing well. We're all doing well, and good luck with the application process.